Pokemon card prices continue to fall, and it's bringing up a broader discussion on whether or not prices will ever recover, as it seems the hype beasts are slowly leaving the hobby. Though before we cover the prices of Pokemon cards in today's video, I'm actually gifting this Arbok illustration rare to one subscriber. Now, if I reply to your comment and I add the newly designed Celebi emoji, then congratulations, this awesome Arbok is being sent your way, and I always pin the comment once selected. Now, also, if you're new to the channel, welcome aboard. My name's Phil. I simplify the world of Pokemon collectibles. Feel free to subscribe to the channel for consistent updates. And just as a little bonus, does anyone know the pose of this Celebi's design, where it's from? I asked for this Celebi to be designed like this specifically because of one pose. Let me know if you know where that's from. Though I think a broader discussion around the Pokemon market needs to be had at the moment, as it definitely seems we're exiting this wild hype bubble, right? However, the current market prices is something we all need to look into. I mean, check what we're working with some of the price dips at the moment. All right, so here we are on Bubble Mew, which is, come on, like, honestly, this is one of the top front runners of the Scarlet and Violet era. Very loved card, huge fan base. When it came out, people liked it. And then, as 2024 kind of progressed, everyone became obsessed with this Bubble Mew. But check it out, man. You can see this graph right here. When we're just looking at that, you can see the Bubble Mew is heading downwards pretty consistently too. You can see the Bubble Mew hit a high of 419 US, and it's continuously gone down. Look at this throughout the month of March, April, now sitting at 319. Now, we do have Paldea and Fates reprints on the way, right? When we look at Bubble Mew, right, it is a very iconic card. There's so many people that are obsessed with this card. If I even mention Bubble Mew, everyone talks about it. As soon as I say Bubble Mew's coming down, the comments, you're gonna even see it in this video, right? People are gonna say, oh man, I can't wait to get my hands on it. Look, I do think as it's coming down now, that it may be a pretty cool time to consider buying this card. If we pull this into the 6 months, right, you can see that it hasn't been on this price point since around January of this year. But before that, you can see, if I pull this into the year graph, you can see the Bubble Mew has just gone up from 86 US from last year all the way up. Now, it's still much higher than it was last year, but still, now it's got its status, right? So once a card gets its status, it very rarely now is going to reverse back to that 85. It's very, very unlikely it'll ever go back to that because, like I said, it's now become a front runner. It's got that status. It's almost like a trophy Pokemon card, right? But as I'm speaking about a lot of these cards, the sets that they're from will be reprinted because we do have reprints on the way. Though, if you do want to stay up to reprint news and get the best notifications when they release, a great tool is PokeNotify, which is the paid partner of today's video. Now, PokeNotify is a paid Discord which alerts its users when a new Pokemon pre-order, reprint, or restock is released. PokeNotify actually covers a very wide variety of retailers across the world, and the key to getting success out of the server is by setting your notification preferences correctly. When you take the time to set this up, you're going to get accurate Discord pings when a reprint or new set is available. We all know that we have a lot of 151, Journey Together, and Prismatic Evolution still being reprinted, so it's a great resource to have in your toolkit. Now, if you do want to try it out, there is a 3-day free trial available, and if you do use my promo code, you get 25% off your first month. All the details are within the video's description. Moving on to the Umbreon from Prismatic Evolutions, right? Really cool card. Part of me feels that even though you can see this card is dipping right now, part of me feels like this card didn't deserve to be the top chase card of the Scarlet and Violet era, which it currently is, right? Now, the reason I say that is because literally the only reason I think this card is the top chase card is all because of Moonbreon. It is just a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you want my genuine opinions, if Moonbreon never existed, I don't think this card in particular would be on the price point it is. It has a lot to do with the fact that people just apply the same intent from Moonbreon to this card right here, okay? And I think as well that given the fact that Pokemon's been quite open with the reprints, I wouldn't be surprised to see this Umbreon continue to dip. You can see right now that this card was selling for 1,600 US in February, right? And you can see it's now come down, and check that out, selling for 1,434, nearly 200 bucks off its high point, right? And like I said, I have confidence that this card will continue to come down as 2025 progresses, early 2026, especially that Pokemon has been open with the fact that we're getting more Prismatic Evolutions. The reason why I say that is for one reason. I don't think the card is that good in comparison to its price point. Do I think it's a cool card? Yes. I mean, if I pulled it, I'd be wrapped. But do I think it deserves $1,400? No way in hell, dude. There is no way that I think this card. I think this card is so inflated for the current market as well. Even though Prismatic Evolutions is hard to get, a lot of people are opening it. There's more reprints on the way. And like I said, there's just too much of that because Umbreon was successful. Now everyone just did the same thing for this Umbreon. Though we will see as time goes on. Do I think it's still going to be one of the most expensive cards of the Scarlet and Violet era? It's still an Umbreon. It's still a special illustration rare. The pull rates are still ridiculously difficult. But at the same time, I sometimes look at that and I go, wow, Umbreon took like 3 or 4 years to get to that price point. Why does this Umbreon get it in the first month or 2 months from its release point? Very interestingly, we can also see the Flareon from Prismatic Evolutions is also flying down in price. Last 3 months, check this out, from 404 now down to 311. I do think that there is opportunities right now. Now, I know a lot of people say, hey, when these card prices, come down in price, I'm going to buy one, man. But the problem is you're still paying $300 for a card. So it's not exactly the easiest kind of purchase either, right? I mean, $300 on one Pokemon card, that's 300 US. It's a lot of money, man. I think a lot of people forget that. Like when we're looking at a Nintendo Switch 2 right now, Nintendo Switch 2 is priced at, something, I think it's like 450 US. I'll find it out and put in the edit suite later, right? So when we're looking at a Nintendo Switch 2's pricing, and this Flareon is currently sitting at 311, you kind of ask yourself, is it the Flareon I want? Or, do I put in a little bit more money and I can get a brand new console, right? So that's the kind of decision making that's taking place for people at the moment. Now, interestingly, when we're looking at the Lilies Clefairy, right? Lilies Clefairy, it's been out just for over a month or just a little bit over a month, right? But you can see, look at that, man, from $325 from the pre-release price point, currently sitting at $198. Now, $198 is still expensive for a card, but man, oh man, did this kind of reverse for what people expected from this card. And I say this a lot. Journey Together was almost like everyone just wanted it to be successful because of what happened with Prismatic Evolutions. Though I kind of put Journey Together on a very similar playing field as Stellar Crown. Yes, it's a cool set, though the pull rates aren't that difficult. They actually have very similar pull rates, and you do have interesting cards inside the set. Probably the Salamence is one of the kind of key front runners, which I'm about to take you through in a second, right? Though I think Journey Together, if it was released last year, I don't think it would have made anywhere near the amount of noise as it did because it got the release schedule right after Prismatic Evolutions and Pokemon TCG Pocket. So it did have a fortunate release slot in terms of people thinking it's a desired set. But when we really look back at it, Journey Together is probably somewhere an above average set. The kind of demand it was getting was like, oh, it's Evolving Skies level. And I do think that it was a little bit overhyped, and I'm probably saying Journey Together is around that, it is a good set, nowhere near deserving of the hype that it got. Same thing when we look at the Salamence, which I was just talking about. You can see selling for $238. Right now, selling for $107 US. Pretty good price for a card that's pretty cool as well. I do like the artwork. Truth be told, I actually thought that this card would have been closer to Greninja's price point before it released. Though again, because the pull rates were so generous, it kind of did help the kind of demand of this card calm down a little bit. Now also, some 151 cards are also going through like a big price dip. Now the reason why 151 cards are having such a sharp price decline, right, is because I think now we're seeing the effects of Blooming Water come onto the market. Blooming Water released, was it late January, early February? And what was really interesting, when Blooming Waters came out, a lot of the card prices were going up. The complete opposite of what happens when a reprint comes on the market. You can see now though that Blooming Waters cards are actually having an effect on the market. Squirtle 151 was selling for $56 US. Now you can see, like I'm on the 3 months, you can see when Blooming Waters released, this ballooned up to $56. That didn't make sense at all, because it's like, how does it go up when a reprint with more stock is available on the market? You're getting more Squirtle 151s coming on the market. How does that make sense that they're climbing? It didn't, right? But you can see now all the way down to 43. From its high point of 56, that's a pretty big percentage decrease for this card. So it's going to be interesting. I do think 151 singles will continue to come down for a while, because I think there's still a lot of Blooming Waters out there. We got like even restocks in Australia for 151 at the moment. So I do think these singles will continue to calm down. Now also, a little bit of a quick way to get updates on market prices and new Pokemon sets. A good tool for this is my own channel's Discord server, We've just surpassed 7,000 members and we're continuing to grow. It's an incredibly social and active server. Feel free to join the server. The invite is in the video's description. Now, interestingly, we can even see the Blastoise from 151, the special illustration rare, selling for 88 at its high point, currently selling for 68, $20 off this card. That's a significant drop. Percentagely, that is a very, very big decrease. But then again, the reason for that is because Pokemon 151 pull rates are not that crazy difficult as other sets. Same thing when we look at the Venusaur from 151, the high point in the market was 87, currently selling for $63. So you can see the special illustration rares are really taking a sharp decline. And same thing when we look at the kind of king from 151, which is the Charizard 151. You can see this card ballooned all the way up to $293 US. Right now selling for $205. Nearly $100 off its price point at the top of the market. That is a significant amount of value that's been taken off this card. I am super interested to see what's going to happen now because we are entering that summer period, right? And I always speak about if you're new to Pokemon investing or how the market works, usually now is when the market calms down. People like to travel, people like to go on holidays. Now is the kind of time in the market where cards start coming down in price. People start selling off their collections. And we're still in early days right now. So I'm expecting that these cards may continue to come down in price. But if you do like these in your collection, it's probably a good thing just to either put them in a binder, leave them and weather the storm, or you can sell them as well. It depends on what your kind of goals are right now. And of course, Surging Sparks as well. You can see the Alolan Executor as well, selling at 62 US in February. Now it's found a price point of 46 US. If we pull this into the last 6 months, you can see that this card had a really weird kind of movement, right? Release selling for 48 US, spiked all the way up to $100, and now it's down to $45. So you can see there was some weird hype movement with this card, when Surging Sparks released. Though again, we can now see that the price has definitely calmed down, especially because we have Surging Sparks reprints on the way. And of course, another interesting one of the most fan favorite cards, of the Scarlet and Violet era, the Pikachu Special Illustration Rare, selling for 484 US, and now selling for 339. If we pull that into the last month, you can see that the Pikachu has definitely had a pretty steep decline. Though I do think this will eventually bounce back with a vengeance. It still is Pikachu, still is a Special Illustration Rare, still is one of the more desired cards from the Scarlet and Violet era. And of course, it once was the top chase card, but it only had that kind of crown from like November, December, and then as soon as January came about, a lot of the evolutions from Prismatic Evolutions overtook it, which, it kind of didn't have its chance to kind of shine for a long time. But don't forget, it still is a very, very desired card for a lot of collectors. However, while these prices continue like this, right, it does make you wonder if the Pokemon bubble will eventually burst. And I do actually cover that in this video right here. Within the video on screen, I talk about why I think Destined Rivals will actually be the set to begin reversing some of the crazy Pokemon hype. Click the video that's appearing on screen right now to learn more about that topic, and I'll see you there.